For those of you watching the recorded version, we'll go live in just a few seconds while we build up our audience. For those of you tuning in very early, it's time to share this out. Let's get our viewers going. Let's get our watch party starting. If my guests are in the studio, I know they're waiting and they want to know how they can share it. We're live right now on the New Jersey Revolution Radio Facebook page, on the Twitter page, on the YouTube page. So you can go there. We've got about 30 seconds to a minute. And when you hear the music start, that's when the show starts. All right. So we'll be right back. Take this time to share it out, comrades. Good evening, everybody. This is Brian Powers from New Jersey Revolution Radio Studios North, Woodbridge, New Jersey. I am joined tonight with Africa, an activist out of Newark, New Jersey, and somebody who I'm always honored when she's on the show. We've had her a couple times now. I think this is 2 appearances, maybe 3, from Black Agenda Report. Margaret Kimberley, and I don't want to waste a lot of time. Send us money. Y'all know the donation links. Blah, 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 blah. Africa. There's a lot going on right now. And the question and the title of the show is this revolution? And I want to talk first a bit about, getting around the state, hearing these different reports. And that I've been talking to you and other comrades around the state, trying to just kind of get a good picture so I can put it forward on the media network. One of the things I've emphasized in our team meetings behind the scenes and stuff like that is, I want truth in our reporting. We have a political agenda. We're not, fair and balanced, but I also have no interest in spreading conspiracy theory, starting violence that doesn't need to exist, encouraging people to go into communities that aren't theirs and bang up a local business. That is not what revolution is about. But revolution is a change in thought and a change in people's minds. I see indications of that. I really do. And so I want Africa to open up the show, of course, with your local experience in Newark and what happened. There was an article about this, I believe, in NJ.com.
Yeah.
NJ.com, and I'll pull it up and I'll put the link up while you talk about what your experiences was Saturday night, correct?
Yeah. I'm going to start from early in the day. Early in the day, we went to the protest. I went with my family, and it was a couple of different factions that were at the protest. You had the faction that was led by Larry Hammond, the mayor. I walked in the parade, in the rally with them. And then you had different factions like the Water Coalition. You had the Africa Black Panther Party down there. It was different groups, and there was a lot of mobilization. There was a lot of people down there, thousands of people. And I even spoke at one of them. I spoke with the Panthers, and I told everybody down there that it was great that everybody showed up, but that wasn't really what we really need. Like, everybody mobilized, but we need to organize from here. Basically, what they do when they leave from there, the day after that, that's what really matters. And for me, if you ask me if this is a revolution, Nobody's mind has changed. Only one officer has been charged so far, and the other officers are still walking the streets. So like nothing has changed. Even the first coroner's report came out, and they said Mr. Floyd died from complications of this, complications of that. They tried to say the police officers didn't do it. Then the last one that came out last night said he died of asphyxiation. It's like you can't even trust them to tell the truth. That's why people are all on the streets uprising. I don't agree with violence myself. Like I don't really like it really do nothing for me for people to go burn stuff up, loot things up. But that is how they feel. They're angry, they're upset. They're upset that the institutions in the community do nothing for them. They don't help them out. Their schools, the police beat them. I started off earlier in the day. That was early in the day. Then I left like around 5 o'clock because I had a headache. I went home and took a nap because I get migraines. And somebody called me at around 7:30, and they told me, look, Africa, I think the kids about to take the precinct down. They died on 17th. All the kids from around the way about to take the precinct down. So I got in my car and I drove down there because I didn't want none of the kids to get hurt, for them to get hurt for no reason at all, for senseless reasons. When I got there, one of the kids that I knew was face to face with the police officer, and his face with his fist balled up about to hit him. So I had to step between the officer and the kid, and I was trying to look him directly in the eye so he could see me. And I was telling him, like, look at me, look at me. He finally looked at me, and he started telling me, man, F this police, F them, man. You know what they did to him? He started throwing names around the neighborhood of people that have been killed. How many times they abused him. And I'm looking him right in the eye, I'm listening to him speak, and I could see the anger. Hey, yo, this kid is about 120, 30 pounds, probably like 5'5", if that. And he was standing in front of the police, a line of police officers with riot gear, with their guns, military weapons, ready to strike at them. And he wasn't afraid. Like, he was tired. It wasn't about cameras. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about none of that. He was done. Like he had reached a point where he didn't see a future. And he was ready to attack the officers. And I'm looking at him and I'm telling him, like, look at me. And he finally looked at me and he was like, yo, Africa. And he started talking to me because I knew him. He grew up with my little brother. And you see, like, they're saying all these kids are not from the community. That's a lie. These kids are from the community. Yo, if you talk to these kids 18, 19, 20, 21, all the way to 25, 26, they hate it here. They hate the institutions. They hate the police. They hate the businesses because they're not their businesses. They hate everything about this community because they're tired of being, oh, man. But I'm if I keep going, I'm gonna go forever.
I can listen to you for a long time. But
let me finish. Let me finish real quick, Brian. Because this is what I mean by this not a revolution. Because I told him, I was like, you don't like once you hit that police officer, they're gonna hit you. They're gonna kill you. And you know I'm not gonna stand here and let them do that to you. So I was like, what's your plan? After we fuck the police up, we go inside that precinct and we take the precinct over. What's the plan? Because you know I got a family. What we gonna do after that? And he didn't have a plan. And I told him, I got a plan. I've been working on it for 12 years. I got a plan. If you trust me, you listen to me, I'm gonna show you. I'm like, you know me. I'm like, you know everything I've been doing for the last 14 years. You've watched me. The school don't mess with me. The police don't mess with me. Nobody in the community mess with me. I'm apart from what they do. I'm like, you ready to be a warrior. We don't need our warriors dying right here. I told him that and the other kids that were there. And I was able to calm them down. But the other adults came in and they started telling them, out the neighborhood, they're not gonna burn them stuff around here. Get out of here. Women at them, belittling them, like agitating them. Like, and this is the part that we have to deal with. We have to be careful. We ask for white allies. We ask for people to come in our community in time of trouble to stand with us. Antifa, all the people that come together to call themselves Antifa. If they're coming in our community to stand with us, it is shameful for political leaders and adults in the community to be trying to shame them. But they're doing it under class. It's a class line. Those are the ones that got the houses. Those are the ones that work in the schools. Those are the ones that work downtown in City Hall. Like, they have connections to all these people. They don't have connections to the citizens. So they go on social media posting, don't come here destroying our stuff. but nobody is come. Yo, the kids are not trying to destroy property in North. That's a lie. The kids, I know them. They leave from North, go to New York, fuck shit up, steal, loot, and come back to North. You know what? Yo, on May 14th, a police officer beat a black man up. The next day, Ras Baraka took his badge, they reassigned him and they brought him up on charges. Last year, when they did the water thing, when we were all uprising saying we needed our water clean, Ras Baraka is fixing the water now. You got arrested, Brian. I took a picture of you on the floor fighting for the water. So like when they say like, don't come here, we don't want people coming in our community, you came down, what was that? What street was that, Brian?
I forgot about that.
But whatever street it was, you came in front of the MTV Awards and you got arrested. I mean, and that's how, like,
we were asked to do it, and you know, for me that stuff is really cool to be accepted and to be asked to go in there and try to help out your community. You know, I mean,
but it's more than cool. That's a revolution. Yo, bro, like you're doing the work day in and day out is a revolution. But the water incident, the jail they were supposed to build in North that they're not building no more. So all this thing that the mayor, like as soon as it happened, the mayor jumps on it and he gets rid of it. That's why that anger's not here. But the police still abuse people. They still cases up. The stores are still, we don't own nothing. We're just out here. The grassroots has nothing. But the way that he has dealt with the community, the way that he has like reacted, they didn't file charges on those people till Friday. Yo, on the first night when anything happened, he's out the next morning taking care of it. So the march that Larry Hammond had, he was on the front line marching with everybody. He's playing the political game. I mean, I don't like everything he's doing, but if you ask me, I can drink my water now. I can put my cup in the sink. I can go take a shower. In the back of my mind, I'm not thinking, no, I'm about to get lead poison. I can actually do that now. I couldn't do that for a couple of years under Cory Booker, under the previous administration that didn't tell us about our water was poisoned, that did nothing about it, that shut us out of meetings. Like it is, everything is not good, but I can say I'm seeing progress.
That's
that's where I'm at.
I know Larry. I've known Larry for years, and let me tell you, you know, you talk about people that are accepting white allies. Larry was one of the first ones probably the first organization that accepted me in Newark when I was organizing back a few years ago. I started with 15 now. That's why that sign is back there. It was really my first kind of grassroots organizing outside of labor unions experience. And Larry Hammond, the People's Organization for Progress. You won't look. I differ with Larry. I wish he wasn't running as a Democrat. I think, you know, anybody will know that. And Larry and me can sit around and drink and laugh about that. You know what I'm saying? And people do have to understand that we have a difference. But, you know, a lot of respect to Larry Hammond and the people, because, man, I can't deny how much I learned from that organization. You got a lot of people in the People's Organization for Progress who have been around revolutionary activity for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. If you're not listening to that, then, you know, I'm sorry for you. I feel bad for you. I'll be honest with you. Margaret. Hi, how are you? I had to let you know, there was just so much there. Really, you know, on a local level. And I just want to say that Africa's story is not unique. And when we look at these protests and we look at, you know, the things going on in Philly where the police are trapping people with tear gas and stuff like that, and really just these overly aggressive behaviors towards protest, each one of those people in those crowds has a story, like what Africa was saying. There's that many people in this country who've been ignored, left in poverty, left without medical coverage, left without psychological counseling. And I don't know if Africa even realized that he engaged in cognitive behavioral therapy on the street that day, but that's exactly what you did, brother. You know, and if we had that every day in this country, we wouldn't be seeing the destruction and the disruption that we're seeing, because that's what it's about. It's about how we treat millions of people. Mm-hmm. And of course, so many people who, you know, are black and not white men. I've never figured out the term to use, but, you know, that's what it is. Margaret, what are you seeing around the country? Like, are you seeing all these similar threads, or is it just me?
Well, yeah, I am. It's an interesting time. It's slightly dangerous time too. It's wonderful to see that people all over the country and all over the world are acting. After seeing the murder of George Floyd in Minnesota, the revulsion was nearly universal. And so it's not surprising to me that people didn't just take to the streets in Minneapolis, but all over this country. And I'm not kidding. If you look it up, all over the world. However, there's a problem in that it's been a long time since people engaged in organizing. And so a lot of the activity is without direction. Now, Africa mentioned, young people who impulsively were going to do something in a police station against the police. But that did happen in Minneapolis. I don't know how it happened or who did it, but I think the burning of that police station, I think it helped in getting that cop arrested. I don't say his name. The killer cop who killed George Floyd.
No doubt. He'd be walking around a free man if they didn't do that.
Oh, absolutely. Because they were trying. First, they were like, "Well, we fired them all," and that was supposed to make people happy. And then the day before they arrested him, the district attorney, not surprising, the prosecutors are in bed with the cops. That's what they do. They work hand in hand. The cops hand people over, they prosecute them and send them to jail. Almost always get guilty pleas. They threaten people with more longer prison terms, additional charges. Most people in jail, the 2 million people in jail in this country, have not even been on trial. They just get them to plead guilty. So they work together, the cops and the DA. And you could see it because the prosecutor said, well, that video was horrific, but I don't think there's any reason for a criminal charge. And protesters descended on his house, which was a great thing. I'm sure that was the last thing he expected. And then that night, the precinct burned, and then they arrested him the next day. And I'm convinced there is a very direct link. So what does that mean? Does that mean when people talk about violence is, I think of violence as being carried out against another person. I don't think of property destruction as violence.
I've never gone to a funeral for a tire.
No, or a broken window. So that does not bother me. But the people continuing to practice violence throughout this are the police. The agent provocateurs we know of are police. And I think I'm writing about this in Black Agenda Report. You'll see it tomorrow. Wednesday is Black Agenda Report Day, don't forget. We're being told to question the involvement of white people. Who are they? Are they Antifa? Are they anarchists? Are they white supremacists? Are they? All of these questions, and the questions are meant to delegitimize protest and to delegitimize the solidarity that could be starting. This is their nightmare. And I think it's important to point out, too, the murder of George Floyd was the spark that set off this larger fire, definitely. But people are angry about a lot of things. We are coming, at least in this region, towards the end, hopefully, of the COVID-19 pandemic, but the shutdowns of businesses, the quarantine, has put more than 30 million people out of work who can't even get their unemployment. So people are angry at seeing George Floyd murdered. They're angry because they remember Eric Garner said, "I can't breathe," but the cop who killed him is walking around free. The city of New York, it took him 5 years to fire that guy. So we remember all these things, this anger bubbling under the surface. And so people are coming together. And we cannot listen to these politicians, the white ones, the black ones, telling us you can't be, that you shouldn't protest at all, or if somebody throws a brick through a window, it's worse than people being murdered, is worse than mass incarceration, worse than the deprivation that people are living under. So those are my observations. I think this is a beginning, but we have to organize. And I want to talk a little bit about one of the hats I wear at Black Alliance for Peace, 3-year-old organization, and we have a campaign, no compromise, no retreat. Stop the War Against Black African People at Home and Abroad. It's a mouthful. I hope I got it right. Somebody will let me know.
You actually kind of broke up during it. I apologize. But get that whole plug, do the whole plug all over again. Just do it all over.
Black Alliance for Peace?
Yeah. Whatever you just said for the last 30 to 45 seconds.
Okay. One of our campaigns is no compromise, no retreat. Stop the war against Black African people in the U.S. and abroad. I believe that's it. And if you go to the website blackallianceforpeace.com, you can see it for yourself. And we are organizers, a young organization now, just 3 years old. But one of our goals is to take this anger at the many assaults on all of us, and to turn it into organizing. That's great. The candidate pledge is good. Because people don't know what to do. The fact that people have risen up spontaneously on their own means that they want to be organized. People want direction. People want to be effective in showing their anger. And that is what we have to talk about. And that's hard work to do. It's something that has to be relearned. It's been some decades since there's been large-scale grassroots organizing in this country. But that is essential if we're going to break up this political corruption where the cops and the district attorneys work together, and politicians will, on one side of their mouths, they'll tell you I'm grieving for George Floyd, but they will not say one word against the police. Not one.
I think, when we talk about, organizing and building these things out in Africa, and I spoke for about an hour on the phone the other day about what do we do? Like this question of, why they don't know what to do. What do we do with all this revolutionary thought that is going basically nowhere? And we talked about Castro and his dedication to material things. And my audience is lefties. We know right now that we have a couple of CIA agents and the rest of us kind of talking to a little bit of an information bubble. So I think, we have to look at ourselves and how we've conducted ourselves as revolutionaries on the left. It starts here. And I think we project, I myself included, by the way, I am as guilty of this as anybody else on the face of the earth, is we project our ideals and we don't live them. And, Lenin taught us we need full-time revolutionaries. We need people dedicated to revolution, but we can't raise $500. We can't raise $5,000 to get a prison visit bus for the new African Black Panther Party. I have a hard time raising $600 a month to keep this indie radio station alive. But yet when Bernie Sanders is sheepdogging for the Democratic Party, he's getting millions of dollars. Why is that? Why are we not appealing to the masses, right? That's honestly, and our thought is, well, all these fucking liberals don't know what it is the hell they're doing. No, it's us. We don't know what the hell we're doing because we haven't built any institutions. We can't educate those children on revolutionary thought. It's our fault. And we have a moment now where it's clear that we've all, as a society, failed. White people, mostly. But because we constructed the society, it is a racist society. So I think we have to address white privilege in all this. We have to address all these systemic things from a material standpoint. Feed the people, right? And those three letters are just magical on so many levels.
Well, I think you touched on something important when you mentioned the Bernie Sanders campaign. There's a lot of energy out there. From that, there were people who, and he just gave up. I don't know why he bothered to run. However, I'll say this: in motivation, there were people. Oh, who's frozen? I can see.
You're frozen. She's on my screen.
I heard her a little bit. Okay, you can keep going, Margaret.
Okay, so there were people who, gave up time and money and went to canvas for him. And where's all that energy now? It's pent up somewhere. But the people are ready to move, and people ask, well, what's Bernie going to do? The question is, what are those people going to do who gave him millions of dollars? He was always asking for money. It was, people joked about it. But they wanted something to happen. They wanted something new. They may not be ready to call themselves revolutionaries. They may be at various points in their political sophistication, but there is pent-up demand for something new, to happen. And that is why I don't think it's so crazy that white people would join with black people in protesting this week. But we have to be extremely careful. This lack of organizing has led to craziness. You know, people letting the cops march with them. No, just don't. No, no, no. It's led to people, as Africa described, especially young people, who need some guidance, doing things that are just unwise, and they will harm themselves and for no reason. So, so this is it. I believe this can be the beginning of a revolution, where we have people who've been living with decades of a race to the bottom, followed by a pandemic, followed by being out of work, followed by not even getting your unemployment, followed by another police murder, followed by political corruption in the Democratic Party, where they foisted Joe Biden on people. I'm going to digress just a second here. Their priority was getting rid of Bernie Sanders. They didn't care, which means they don't really care about Trump losing. And Joe Biden yesterday, so we should talk about Trump saying he's going to bring out the military, and okay, that's a concern. He's waving the Bible, looking like a maniac too. But yesterday, Joe Biden appeared in a black church and talked about the police learning to shoot people in the leg.
Oh my God!
I mean, it was insane.
You know where that came from, right?
What's that?
That's an Israeli tactic.
Well, I'm sure. Well, many police are trained by Israeli.
They teach that to Israeli snipers to maintain the apartheid state in Israel.
Well, that makes sense. That's one of the reasons Obama chose him as a running mate, because he was a favorite of Zionists. That's another story. But anyway, but I just want to say that I was pointing that out to talk about who we need to fight against. I think the Democratic Party is the first group of people we need to fight. But at any rate, I hope I'm not rambling at this point. But this can be the start of something big. But we all have to take the time to educate ourselves. And, you know, as far as Lenin talking about full-time revolutionaries, it's 100 years later, and sometimes we have to update what Lenin or others have to say, because I can't. I work
with so many great people who are struggling to pay their bills, trying to run a life. You pay a mortgage, raise their kids, feed their family, and I'm lucky if I get them for 2 hours every night, half awake, to help organize. And I have my own struggle. We all have our own struggles with it's capitalism. It's how it works. It keeps us, under the thumb by keeping us in poverty and all that stuff. But, I just feel strongly that we need to take care of our own better. Africa, there's a question on here. If those of us can see it on the feed, how do we put pressure on the police to change their policing policies? Is that a direct reflection of governors and mayors or the police chiefs? You want to take that question? What? Go ahead.
All right. Now I'm gonna tie it all together. I'm a sociologist by trade. When I walked out of prison in 2008, I went back to school and got 3 degrees. One of them was in sociology. And people don't just wake up one day and they all figure it out and they all organize and they all start going to meetings, start reading books. Nah, it takes organizers to do that. I had this morning I posted something about Farrakhan on my page, and a couple of friends called me and they were livid. And I said, "Where is Farrakhan?" I'm getting older and older now, and I'm tired of hearing rhetoric of people telling me what I'm going through out here on the streets while they're living in nice neighborhoods, living in nice mansions, and they're nice and comfy. It's time for a movement, an organization to change our life in the future. It doesn't have to be tomorrow, but the seeds need to be sowed. The question is, how do we change? How do we hold the police accountable? It's your officials. The mayors, by and large, control the police. You put the mayor in there, you should be able to control them. You're the one that voted and put them in there. You should be able to control your mayor. But the people have to be organized to do that. And I ended the conversation with my friend, somebody I've known since the 5th grade, because he's a Muslim. He loves Farrakhan. His family, Farrakhan is the cornerstone of their family. I even lived with them for a year when I was younger. And after the conversation, I told him, Farrakhan needs to come out and tell all the black bourgeoisie, entertainers, rich people, we're building institutions for our people. in every single community. This is our goal. If you're not part of it, then you're not Black. Then you're not accepted in our culture. We shouldn't entertain your crap, your art, your bullshit that you put out to say it's entertainment. We shouldn't entertain it. I'm telling you, if Farrakhan came out or somebody with status, because I have no status, I can tell you every kid in North New Jersey, because we have the paperwork of all the kids that go to school. We know who need help. We know who don't need help. You can put resources around them to guide them all the way through. While you're holding meetings in the community, educate in the community. We don't educate our community. They know nothing politically. There are no institutions in our community to produce the human beings that we speak about, that will do these things. Yo, to me, in my analysis, the people out on the streets, the adults, man, they're done. I'm tired of talking to them because you can't change their mind. They've been conformed to be the capitalist, greedy people that they are. They whatever religion, whatever thing they believe in their mind, that's where they're at. But I'm talking about the kids. We need to build institutions that carry on generation after generation. What we're doing here, what is our purpose as human beings on this planet, as Black people? Where do we come from? You can't expect somebody that's gone their whole life not knowing who they are. So it took me till I was in prison to understand who I was, where I came from, and that they had riots in North New Jersey. I saw Amiri Baraka, I think I was 26, 27, for the first time in what you call it, in prison. When I was in prison on TV, I didn't even know who he was because we don't educate our people. If Farrakhan come out and make that statement, I would donate $200. I know Black people are fed up. They would donate money. We can build our own independent powers in our community. We don't need money from no corporations. We don't need nobody. They can even keep their buildings. They can keep their public schools. They can keep all of that. Yeah. We need to build institutions in our community. Voting ain't gonna save us. We could vote for the next 200-300 years. It's a pyramid scheme. I mean, I'm tired of it. I'm not voting for Biden.
I'm sorry to jump in on you, but I do know Margaret has to move on, and I just want to give her a chance. I'm going to come back to you, man. You ain't going nowhere. Got Craig Caetano over there in Patterson, so we're going to check in with what's going on in Patterson, New Jersey. But Margaret, thank you. Oh, my God, thank you so much. Black Agenda Report, I say it every time. It is the best journalism in the United States of America. Not enough people are paying attention to it if everybody isn't paying attention to it. So please.
Margaret, tell Glenn I say hi, Margaret.
I certainly will. We first met at Left Forum a couple years ago. It was nice to see you again.
You too. You woke me up. You're reading your work, reading Glenn Forst's work, and all of you. You helped me be who I am today. I mean, I don't take that lightly.
Thank you. That means a lot to me to hear it too. Sometimes you're struggling to write and you wonder, I guess we all go through this. Anybody paying attention? So thank you. Yes, it's nice to be reminded that people are. So thanks very much, guys. I'm sorry I have to run. As usual, I am overbooked and overcommitted, but I'm going to head out. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for being here. And just like every other revolutionary on the planet, Margaret is overbooked. So we thank her for the time, that she took here. But I don't want to stop. And I saw, of course, and then as I tell everybody that I'm bringing in Craig from Passaic and Patterson, New Jersey, he dropped off. So typical Revolution Radio fashion. Let me touch on Patterson, though, because I don't know if you've been to Patterson rallying for justice for Jameek. I know you're aware of the case. The community is well aware, especially up in North Jersey, Newark. I knew African Black Panthers have been there, and I myself personally witnessed confrontations with the police during this. Where it was scary. It's just scary the way the police act around the situation, and that's what I remember most about it. And one of the things why my activism is turned what some may refer to as anti-cop. I don't really care. I am anti-cop. It doesn't really hurt me. I'm against the police. More like their existence bothers me. And one of the things that have pushed me in a more revolutionary direction is my experience and the way that family's getting treated by people that clearly murdered an innocent man. So this is another one of those stories, right? Like you told me about
Yeah.
the young man on the street who just felt completely disenfranchised.
Yeah.
You know, how much contact have you had? Have you been closely involved? I know you've met the family. You've
No.
been to a couple rallies, or
Yeah, I've been to a couple of rallies, but like there's just so much you could do. I go to show my support. I mean, there's a brother on Facebook that always posts from Patterson. I mean, he even went out to Minnesota. I can't believe his name escaped me right now.
is it Zelly? Zelly or Zelly?
What's
Thomas?
his name?
Zelly? Is it Zelly?
Thomas or something like that?
Zelly Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I saw him post when it first happened, and I went out there. I mean, I didn't get to meet him, but man, it's the same thing. I want to answer Justin's question. You see Justin on here? What can we do in our communities of color?
Sure.
In small cities, towns, organize and have our own voices, our voices heard. Hey, brother, you just got to go find 2-3 people and start speaking about the issues that that bothers you, the issues that you want to change. In North New Jersey, we have council meeting twice a month, school board meetings twice a month. Yo, if you start going to these local meetings and meeting politicians, you're gonna start finding answers. I can tell you everything. I can explain it to you. You got to see it for yourself. Once you go to a few meetings and you evolve around that circle, like it'll just grow. I mean, but you got to participate. You got to get in there. I mean, there's no magic pill. There's nobody that's gonna come save us. We got to do it ourselves. Every one of us got to participate.
It's important, and it's important. And I know Justin's Young Green out of New Jersey, which if you're not involved with the Green Party of New Jersey, the Young Greens, called the Young Eco Socialists, I believe is their actual name. Just an amazing group of kids, man. I mean, I'm sorry to call them kids because some of them can out-organize me in certain aspects. They really have. Just right out from under me, I heard about 30 or 40 people joining the Young Eco Socialists, and I had no idea what was going on. So they made it. Hey, man. And, you know, a lot of burnt burners, a lot of people, you know, you got a lot of young people that understand that this system is not working and their future is not going to be what they want it to be unless we make some serious changes for them. Yeah. And the young people get it. I think the young people, and also they're impressionable, you know. So, you know, we've had a lot of talk about how do we teach and how do we build and what do we do with all this energy, right? And I would say, you know, to some degree, we have to encourage older organizers to get with younger organizers, and for younger organizers to open themselves up to those experiences. There's definitely a generation gap. There's definitely people that are used to social media and grew up on social media at this point, and Facebook is old to them. I'm a Facebook guy. Mm-hmm. And then there's those of us, you know, that were maybe incarcerated and didn't see parts of this society develop. And there's those of us like me. I got this weird. I'm 43. So like there was nothing, and I came up in the beeper era, right? And then we went from beepers, and now I'm on the internet talking to you, you know, thousands of people, you know? So the communication and technology is just amazing. Craig is here, and while he's here, I'm not sure if he can hear us. Craig, can you hear us over there? Seems quiet.
Brian, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you really well, man. It's pretty quiet over there. How are you?
Hey, Brian. I'm here with Corey. Hey, what's going on, bro?
Hey, there he is. That's the man right there.
Corey's going to give a quick report. What's going on? Yeah, right now we started out at, we're going to move. We started at about 5 o'clock. We're down here at the police complex where Jameek Lowry was murdered last January. And the crowd is large. We got about 500, maybe 1,000 people out here. And we're going to be on our way, you know, downtown to the city hall. But so far it's been peaceful. Yeah, right. It's been very peaceful here. If you get a view of the crowd, and I'll try to flip this around so you can see. They've got the barricade up.
Hey, Greg.
And of course, the doors guarded.
Yeah. Craig, can you tell me, if you take a look around, is there a large police presence? Are people penned in? It looks a little close for social distancing there, and I have been concerned about that. Don't know if Craig can hear me.
Oh, it's about to get elected.
Uh-oh.
Craig on the front line.
And just as I open my stupid mouth, huh, Africa? Here we go. Selling pizza. See, they were selling stuff at a point.
The crowd is pushing up against the barrier.
Be safe over there, comrade. If you can keep us on screen and show us what's happening as we're sitting in the studio watching, I appreciate it. But just make sure you're safe, all right? So for those of you watching right now, This is Justice for Jameek rally in Paterson, New Jersey. We're looking live at what's going on. Craig Caetano, who's the co-chair, got his co-chair of the Green Party plug in there on his screen name. Appreciate that. Green Party of New Jersey helps us out a lot. Green Party of New Jersey is at every action they can get to. And we do our best to support, even though we are a political party, we're active. That's what we are. That's what we do. So thanks a lot. I don't see where the police line is here. I do see a pretty large crowd, though. Craig, can you hear me over there?
Try to get a little closer.
No peace. No peace.
So as Craig's trying to get his way in there, give us a shot of what's going on. I talked a little bit about my experiences with the Paterson police, and you got an organization there with I think 7 or 8 at least have been arrested on federal charges over the last 2 years. The charges are ridiculous. I mean, they're ridiculous. Include, just straight up robbing drivers, pulling them over and saying, "I'll give you $1,000 and you can get out of here." Beating a man who was handcuffed in a hospital bed, clearly undergoing mental illness issues, and then putting it on videotape and laughing about it. I mean, it really is a culture in that police department that's like I saw it firsthand. Craig, can you hear me over there? Greg. There we go. We got somebody on. All right, so that looks like they're going to be moving. It looks they're going to be moving the protest to City Hall. I'm going to keep an eye on that with Craig for you at New Jersey Revolution Radio. I do want to sign off, though, for the night. Because we all have to get back to things. Africa, I mean, I want to close out just a minute with you to talk about organizing. I did get into it a little bit. Look, what I was talking about when, older people need to interact with younger people and bridge this divides. In general, we need to bridge divides. In general, we need to be accepting that white privilege exists, that there's anger in all kinds of communities, that, capitalism puts stress on our lives. It really doesn't need to be there. And we need, if we want to talk seriously about these issues, it's not an overnight thing. Unfortunately, we aren't going to fix it by going into the streets. Although I think going into the streets has given us a moment here. And Africa, I really appreciate where you say, it's not a revolution. I'll disagree with you a little bit because my definition of revolution, if we're Marxists, and I consider myself a Marxist, although not a very strict one, I just believe that a change in mindset is happening. I see it in the narrative. Is it a good thing? It depends on how well we organize. And I'm concerned that the right wing, the fascist elements, the racist elements, it's clearly our president is one of these people, are better organized than us. That's a major concern as to the direction of the country going forward. So there is an urgency of now, as Dr. Martin Luther King stated. However, we can do this right if those of us that believe in what we're doing, those of us that have some empathy and realize the situation can teach, and those of us that don't understand can learn. It's a hard thing to do. I will encourage everybody to reach outside your bubble, talk to your family and friends about this, talk to your mom who doesn't get it and thinks they shouldn't be breaking windows at Walmart. Sit down with them. You can't sit down with them. Get them out of Zoom room. Honestly, organizing, there is a point to all this white guy going into a black neighborhood stuff, Africa. There is. You know why? Because we got to be honest. I ain't going to go in and teach you nothing about racism. I have to, right? And if I try to, no matter how I try to do it, I'm going to come across like an asshole. And, but if you and me get together and talk about football, if we work together and we help hand each other a hammer for a year, you know what? Then I can start to talk to you about these things. Because now you know me as a human being and not as a guy in front of a microphone playing the white savior. And anyone can do that. Anyone that gets the message can do that. You don't have to be an organizer. You can just be a dude or a woman or whatever that gets it and learns how to communicate it.
Hey, we could disagree. We could agree to disagree, but I don't call it a revolution, man, because the same thing happened in the 90s and the 60s and the whatever. Hey, the same class of people have control, man. We have never gained control of power ever in the history of the planet, of the world. Like, we could go all the way back. We have never had power. We've had uprising, people riot, people get upset. But a revolution to me is the mind. The way you change the mind is by building institutions that condition people for their minds to change. You can't, people, like I'm gonna say it again, people don't organically wake up and change their minds. We could meet with our friends, with our family, like you and I could meet. But if it's not like put in, if we're not socialized for us to be in the same space, and it goes generation after generation, then it's pointless because it doesn't last. Just you and me meeting doesn't matter. It has to be continuous. It has to be a relationship there. And our schools are very segregated now. Yo, we talk about revolution. There's no segregation of schools. The schools, they didn't break the segregation. They're still segregated. If you go to school on South Orange Ave in Newark, it's all black people. I went to school in Newark my whole life. Man, I think I saw one white person, and he probably wasn't even all the way white. I think he was mixed. I didn't know not one white person or Jewish person my whole life going to school in Newark. Like, we need to cut it. Like, there's still segregation, but it goes by capital. I mean, they break it off at the tax line. I mean, like you go in South Orange, you go in Livingston, you go in Short Hills. It's like 2 or 3 black people in those classes or in the school. I mean, but when you come to North, there are no white people here. We haven't had no revolution. Civil rights movement didn't change nothing. The world just adapted to the slavery. You don't need to put chains on people no more, have them picking cotton. Ain't no damn cotton to pick. But you could be outside, you could be working in these jobs, serving people, working for $8, $6, $10 an hour, and you're gaining nothing. So now they let you just afford your own plantation. You could pay for your own apartment now with the crumbs we give you. But there's no revolution. We're all still slaves and indentured servants. I mean, so to me, the only way we change that is by building institutions that teach people how to be humans.
That's it. We are in almost complete agreement here on strategy and stuff like that. As always, revolutionaries are going to have a little debate over stuff.
Of course.
That's why we enjoy what we do so much. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm trying to get out more. I don't like sitting in an office. It's unsafe out there. Please social distance better at these things. People, I love you. I don't want you sick. We don't need this shit. We really don't. Stay away from each other, but be safe out there. Get out there. Make your voices heard. Your anger is real. We hear it. We're trying to get it back out there. And thank you, Africa. Thank you, Margaret Kimberley. Thank you, Craig, Caetano. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, everybody who I've talked to, which is almost maybe in the hundreds of people over the last week or so, getting around the state, getting around the country, getting around the world to help us at New Jersey Revolution Radio give a perspective. And if you donate a few dollars, that gives me some gas money. I can get out more. All right, comrades. www.njrevolutionradio.com. NJRR Live goes back into regular productions next week. We'll be back regularly talking to people like Africa, Margaret Kimberley, all of our comrades out there trying to make a difference. So until then, this is Brian Powers, and I want to remind everybody out there that the police can quit their jobs. Good night, everybody.
Good night.